Alright, this video is for fellow clanmates, well, fellow raid teammates. If somebody else happens to stumble on this, go ahead and take inspiration or whatever. Um, so these builds I have crafted together for a day one raid race. I am not anticipating whatever the meta is, except for one instance. I am not anticipating a particular meta for next season, besides maybe shotguns and swords, because that's kind of been hinted at, and glaives are getting a rework. Also, a side note, some of these weapons are interchangeable. I will be saying which ones are interchangeable, but these are the builds that I've came up with. I have one. This will be the Titans, a separate video for Warlocks, and then a separate one for Hunters, for as far as I know, because I have found some pretty cracked builds for Hunter that I have. I will warn you, Titans are going to have the sort of complicated ones. Warlocks are going to be very strange builds and unconventional builds that I use. And hunters are going to be also kind of strange and unconventional as well. So first up for Titans, of course I will show you all my fashion for each character. So for Titans, bam, screenshot that. Most of these will just be screenshots. I have reset my artifact, as you can see, so that all of these builds can be done without artifact. Here's the subclass, bam, screenshot. I know I have the helmet on, however, this grants 3 fragment slots, and 3 fragment slots is basically necessary for the stasis build. So have on Diamond Lance. I will say, if you want to, you can switch to the stasis chest piece. I don't have it though. That means you can also switch out the Wicked Implement for this SMG with Encore and Frenzy specifically. You do not need Headstone. I don't recommend Headstone for anything other than Scout Rifle and Pulse Rifles. The Catalyst will help this out a bit because Stasis Shards will grant you melee energy. However, it's not like key. The fact is it's frozen. That being said, do not switch to Azure Scepter because of Whisper of Fissures. Whisper of Fissures only applies to, not this one, it's Whisper of Rending. It only applies to primary ammo weapon. Do not use Azure Scepter or any other special ammo stasis weapon. Otherwise, this build falls behind pretty drastically. Unless you have a weapon with Hake, I believe is the origin trait. I just have first and last style for up close damage. You have far, and Penumbra B with auto loading and chill clip. You can have something else as well. There are 3 stasis rocket launchers. There's Bump in the Night. I'm talking about that are craftable, so not just cold comfort. But there's Penumbra B. I know the other one's for it, and there's also a Bump in the Night. Penumbra B is still craftable. Bump in the Night, I don't think you can obtain it. Correct me if I'm wrong. These are all the mods that I have. Screenshot that. Here are all the weapons and their perks. Screenshot that. Alright. I have one arc. This is the one arc. Submission is not necessary, but pretty important. Forbearance is irreplaceable. You cannot replace this because it grants you health. You need this. If you don't have forbearance, go get it from Val. If you have to have at least submission or forbearance, spec more into submission because you need health as an Arc Titan. Grand Overture is really good and is really ammo efficient and does really good damage to counter the insta super that is Thunder Crash. Here's my setup. Take a screenshot. There you are. Again, I'll show fashion. Bam. Screenshot that if you want. Bam. These are all the mods for my weapons. Screenshot that. Bam. There's the armor mods. Screenshot that. Keep resilience and recovery at tier 9. Don't bother putting them up to tier 10. Put those stats into other things like discipline and strength. Thruster is very important to this build. Do not switch it up. Also, do not use Juggernaut. I don't get why some people use it. This is mostly there so that Juggernaut is not there, but this particular part isn't useful. You can switch this out for Pulse Grenade. If you're focusing more on boss DPS, switch Arc Bolt Nade out for Pulse Grenade. Otherwise, don't. Alright, next up, we're going to talk about my solar builds. This is the build that got me through day one Kingsfall with the totems encounter. You can switch this out for Succession, obviously. Um, this is my team DPS sniper rifle. My solo one is elsewhere. But Heritage Vex Mythoclast is really good. Extremely good, and has Vengeance with Cluster Bomb. We just don't have a solar machine gun that I like right now. Same with the solar rocket launcher. I do not have the Apex Predator crafted. You can switch that out for this. Melee is also interchangeable. However, I recommend Hammer Strike because it applies Scorch, and that is in relation to ignitions. And a lot of the stuff down here is in relation to Scorch. Swarm grenades have a low cooldown. I have a different build for other grenades, but Swarm has a low cooldown. That's pretty much the only reason why I have that there. Bomber is important here. Same with Powerful Attraction, because Powerful Attraction works when Lordly Splendors is activated. Same with Bomber and other stuff. That stuff is activated because technically your barricade is getting used. So there is the mod setup. There is the weapons and their roles. And in case you want to see fashion, bam, there you are. Alright, now to show you my Hall of Fire Heart build. Wherever it's at. There it is. This one can also be interchanged, aka you don't need to use Whisper of the Worm. I just want to have a Whisper of the Worm because it's good for King's Fall, so something that has good long-range DPS is probably a good idea. So I just want to use Whisper of the Worm. You can switch this out for 1k as well. Trusty, make sure you have a primary ammo weapon here, because Heritage, every build is crafted to have a close range and a long range. This is your mid to long range, close range Heritage. You know, you have your melee. This has fusion nades. You'll be getting back your fusion nades pretty quickly if Hollow Fire Heart is active. Also, this makes it to where using your super isn't as necessary. But there's the weapons. There are the mods. Nothing changed really with the setup besides the grenade. So there's that for you. And I don't know if I showed you this, but there's fashion. Bam. Okay, now into the 3 Void builds. First up, complete support. Vex Caliber. Have the Catalyst. I forget what Catalyst it is, but it's the one where you melee and it gives you ammo back. I would suggest using that one for this. You can switch it off for Le Monarch. Le Monarch will recharge your super extremely fast. Vex Caliber is more so for support. Succession covers the long range. Retrofit Escapade for damage. This one's a little bit different. Obviously, Bubble. And you can kind of see the builds. I do not have Bastion here because of the fact that Vex Caliber kind of covers the overshield, and so does the melee. I'll show you the fashion for this. There you are. There is the mods for the armor. There are the mods for the weapons. Okay, and then on to... This is where things are going to get a little strange. First off, there is my fashion. Guess you want to know. There's the subclass, if you want to take a screenshot of this. It is different. Keep in mind, the nade is different, Void Aspect's different, Echo of Exchange is different. Now, obviously, the super is. Commemoration, have that on here. Same with Heritage, covered the close range. Brass attacks can be switched out for a different Void weapon. I just really, really like using brass attacks, especially with this build, because with being able to throw nades and guarantee kills with it, it gets absolutely insane with volatile rounds. And I'm show you the rest. Okay, back to it. These are my mods if you want to screenshot them. There's the weapons if you want to screenshot them. Okay. And then last, I will not be covering Strand, because I don't necessarily have a proper Strand Titan build currently. So don't be looking for Strand Titan. I do have one for Strand Hunter, and I will try my best for Strand Warlock. My Strand Warlock is the most incomplete out of all my Guardian classes, so sorry about that. This is my no backup plans. This fashion's kind of bad. I'm kind of waiting for Solstice of Heroes to pop back up next week, so there's the fashion for that. I don't know if I want to know that, but this build was kind of the hardest to do because Legend of Icarus is a different element entirely. There's the setup here. Duma Kelkis is interchangeable with any primary ammo weapon, void weapon. Unless you have Hollow Denial um, with lead from gold and something else, then you can use that. But there's the weapon perks. These are the armor perks. This is the most difficult one to pull off. Alright, that is it for Titan. If y'all want to see an actual test of these, y'all can test them out yourselves. But if y'all want to see one in particular and how well it performs in a specific situation, just let me know. Alright, but I'll see y'all with the Warlocks.